What's going on YouTube? So today we are with one of the most highly anticipated sport EVs of the year. This is the IONIQ 5N. And with Hyundai holding nothing back, we are excited that we got to live with this for the past week. So let's go ahead and have some fun. So somebody at Hyundai obviously has a sense of humor because they basically gave this an engine cover, but obviously this does not have a engine in the conventional sense. So as a full electric model, you have an 84 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. Horsepower on this N model can be up to 641 maximum horsepower, which is insane and good for a 0 to 60 of 3 seconds flat, according to Car and Driver. So extremely impressive performance. Overall range is going to be about 221 miles according to the EPA. Now, of course, we'll be taking this out for a spin later on. I cannot wait for that part of the video. We'll also be getting things like a sound level reading with and without the engine noise turned on. But of course, we need to check out the exterior of this vehicle as well as the interior because there's a lot to talk about. So when it comes to the IONIQ 5, it already looks like pretty much nothing else on the road. But guys, this N dials things up to like 12 out of 10. It is absolutely insane looking for sure. It really draws everyone's attention as soon as they walk up to the vehicle. And as you can see up here in the front, it is going to be quite a bit of differences in terms of the N versus the other models. The main thing is that we have a lot of active aero here, which is going to really help this model maximize performance. And then of course you've got your N branding as well. Now in terms of our lighting, we've got those signature pixel LED headlights. These are projector LEDs, so they're really nice and bright. And that's also going to include your daytime running light and your turn signal indicator. And then of course, as we move on to the rear, continues to be extremely aggressive in its overall looks.
Man, it looks really cool. We also have a really aggressive spoiler up top, and we have race car inspired elements such as this piece right here for our taillight. And Drew is going to go ahead and hop inside so we can check out the taillight elements and see if it's all LED. As you can see, that brake light portion right up there. You also have a LED brake light with turn signal indicator and LED reverse light. It of course has that signature IONIQ pixel theme, so it has a very cool look to it. And then as we drop down to this area, this is completely new for the IONIQ 5N. It's incredibly aggressive, but let's go ahead and see how it sounds. Never thought I'd see the day that an electric vehicle has an exhaust note, but it actually uses the exterior speakers to project it out so you can hear it outside the cabin as well.
Now as far as our wheels, we have 21-inch alloys on board with the N. That's very, very large. I like this contrast machine finish. It also has a lot of openings here so that you can very easily see through to these gigantic 15.7-inch 4-piston brake calipers. These are huge brakes, obviously, because this is very heavy and can go very fast, so you need that maximum brake performance. Another thing I really like about it is the fact that these are finished in that signature in orange, as well as these lower accents. And then the body itself on this model almost matches, not quite, but this is called Soltronic Orange, and it is bold to the extreme. Finally, in this area, I do want to mention, of course, we've got high-performance Pirelli P0 tires. Now moving up here to our mirrors, you do have a nice black finish on board, and we of course have heating and blind spot monitoring as well as power folding.
Now at the side-by-sides for the really cool look, you're going to come in at an overall vehicle length of about 185 inches, which is actually up about 3 inches over the standard version of the IONIQ 5. And the reason for that is because, of course, they've reshaped the front and rear bumpers. That's for sure for this in duty. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, you're going to get all of them as standard equipment, including things like Highway Drive Assist 2.0. But without further ado, let's dive into the inside. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. It is a specific in-branded key fob. It's finished in the full black, and obviously you do have smart entry as well. With this model, when you walk up to the vehicle, it's going to sense your approach. It'll go ahead and fold the mirrors outward and pop out these electronic door handles so they're nice and easy for you to grab. Now, taking a look at the interior, it's really going to look honestly nothing like any of the other IONIQ 5s. There's a lot of special things inside of this cabin, especially with these seats. So we have super aggressive sport bucket seats. As you can see, these are one piece, which is common, in a very race-oriented vehicle. You have special stitching details running throughout. Obviously, you're illuminated in branding, which is a signature element, and just really thick and nice bolstering. The finish on the inside is going to be a suede. Just be aware these are manual seats, so obviously they're not going to have any of those special reclining abilities like the other IONIQ 5s. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we're fully inside the interior, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the materials. Over this very long armrest, we have a leatherette covering. Actually, the entire door trim is going to be covered in the same leatherette. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is also finished in a leatherette material. We have a textured soft touch plastic through here, a blue accent around our vents, and then as we move to our console area, there is a nice pad here to rest your knee against. We'll go ahead and start it up with this push button start. And now that it's fired up here, let's go ahead and get into some of the specific details. Of course, we will start off with our gauge cluster. We have obviously some very special looking graphics on board that are super cool, depending on which drive mode and things that you're in. You can also change the design, and you get nice touches as well, like the blind view camera system on board. We don't have a head-up display, though. I do want to mention that. It seems like that we might have had that here on the end, since you can get that on the limited trim level. Nevertheless, you have rain-sensing wipers, and we have a very cool steering wheel. This is a nice thick rim on board with this, a very unique design. You've got a lot of special buttons here which correspond to your special drive modes. We'll explain all these things as we get into the drive later on. And the wheel itself is manual, tilt, and telescopic. Now, as far as practical elements, this is really very strong in this area. And one of the things I want to point out is that for 2025, we have kind of a new console arrangement here with the end. We anticipate this will actually roll out to the rest of the IONIQ 5 lineup for 2025 as well. And what this does is just kind of make things more useful instead of just plain open space. First of all, you have your center console. Inside of this, we have 5 donuts for the IONIQ 5. And of course, we like to check the volume because this is Car Confections after all. We put the stuffed donuts in there to see how big that console is. Now, forward of that, you have a very large cubby with a lot of space. Actually goes all the way back here. These cup holders are reconfigurable, so you can just pop them in and out as needed. And then we've got this new console area, which contains your wireless phone charging pad, also gets you 2 of your charging USB ports. The shifter itself is going to be up here on the column. You're just going to twist up for drive. Obviously, we do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and when we go into reverse, this is what our backup camera looks like. This is a 360-degree camera system. It's got all the same tricks that we've seen on many products, so you can even do the cool 3D view. And just press the P right on the end there to go into park. Now, let's talk about the climate controls. So we have a dual zone automatic setup on board. Very quick and easy to make these adjustments. It's all kind of a touch sensitive area. One thing to note is that you do need to press this button right here. That's what will pull up your controls for the seats and the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is heated, and as you can see, you have heated seats and ventilated seats. I'm super surprised actually to see ventilated seats on board with these special performance grade seats. But I do want to say that they work really well, especially through this kind of otherwise hot suede. Now, let's talk about the audio system next. So you do have the 8-speaker Bose sound system, and let's give it a sample. Overall sound quality of this system is quite nice, and again, I'm happy to see you have the up-level sound system even on this performance-oriented model. Now, let's get into the infotainment system though. This is something I really want to talk about because for now at least it is unique to the IONIQ 5N, is the fact that it has the CCNC brand new infotainment system for the Hyundai brand. What that means practically is the fact that it has a wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for the first time. So it's the first IONIQ 5 to get that. We do, again, anticipate that these same changes will go to the regular model, but Hyundai has not confirmed that quite yet at the time of this filming. This does mean that this infotainment system performs excellently. Everything works super fast and snappy. This is what our dedicated map is going to look like. And then, of course, specific to the N model is the fact that you can click this, and you can really just get into the weeds, guys, with all these different settings. This is a very complex car, and it's a very customizable car, especially when you're out on the track. You can get in here and even change things like torque distribution, make it to where you can kind of drift this vehicle. It's just super neat how many different things that you can customize on this model. Now, taking a look up here at the mirror real fast, we have an auto-dimming one with our 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And as far as the roof, for weight savings, they go ahead and eliminate the panoramic sunroof.
Now, one of the most special things about the IONIQ 5N is the fact that you can have all that performance, but yet here we are in the back seat, and it is really just massive amounts of space. Let's be exact with it, 40 inches of leg room. We're also going to be sitting at about 39 inches of headroom, so there's just so much room back here in the IONIQ 5. It's just incredibly comfortable and spacious. Now, I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we're sitting at a very impressive 10.5 inches of knee room. We also have room for my feet to slide up underneath of the seat. And then as far as the seats themselves, they do actually recline, so you can take a nap even in this model. We have a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside. And then I want to point out this is new, of course, that we have the couple USB ports here in the center for 2025. That center console design allows for that. You will not have heated rear seats, so keep that in mind, and your vents are going to be integrated here in the B-pillar. The door trim's also going to be nicely done, just like the front, and you can even fit things like a Stanley water bottle in that bottom storage area. Now, of course, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a hands-free Power One on the IONIQ 5N, and I want to point this out because this is a new feature for 2025 based on popular demand. People wanted the rear window wiper, so Hyundai has actually added that this year, so I do want to point that out. Now, if we pop open the trunk, you're going to find a good amount of space. To be exact with it, you're going to be sitting at about 27 cubic feet behind the second row of seats and 59 cubic feet with the seats folded down as a maximum. Like I said, that's really impressive cargo space for a performance vehicle like this. Now, in order to fold the seats, you do have to go up there and do that from the second row itself. And now that we've got those seats folded down, you can see they fold 60-40 split folding. Out of obligation, if you're looking to haul something in the IONIQ 5N, let's see your cargo length and width figures. 76 inches of length behind the driver's seat from behind the second row, 39 inches. 39 inches wide as well, and then as far as height, wow, I tripped on this bumper area, we are going to be sitting at about 29 inches of height. Do be aware the bumper sticks out quite a good deal. You also have charging cable storage right through here, a tire mobility kit because you do not have a spare tire, and I want to point out that the frunk has obviously been eliminated for this IONIQ 5N specifically. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the IONIQ 5N. I've been waiting a long time for this. I know you have been as well, so let's go ahead and dive in. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing all the things you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading, but way more important than that is our first acceleration, so let's dive in. Whew.
Oh my goodness.
I may be seeing spots.
Well, this is definitely very, very fast, as that 0 to 70 mile an hour acceleration should have made very clear to you guys. So we mentioned at the spec dump on the outside that Car and Driver has tested this at a 0 to 60 of 3 seconds. That does feel right. Obviously this has a lot of power. When you press the NGB button, so this stands for Ingrain Boost, that gives you that temporary boost up to 641 horsepower. So that's the maximum that this can produce, and it produces, I believe, that for 10 seconds. Obviously that's enough to get you to an insane speed that you should not be doing on a street, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And really the thing that is also just so crazy about it is the noise that you're getting along with it, because we've driven a lot of fast EVs. A lot of them exist, you know, the Tesla Model 3 performance and the the Tesla Model S performance and the Plaid model. We've been in all of them, and this is a unique experience because you have the auditory feeling as well. More than just the sensation of moving, you have the auditory experience. Wow.
Okay. The fact that this has pops and crackles, just like the Elantra in, it farts.
Now, full disclosure, this is actually the first time that we've been behind the wheel of this when we got it on loan here, because we couldn't go to the event earlier this year. So this is our first time with the Elantra, the IONIQ 5N, and oh my goodness, wow.
This is one of those things where it's like, why is this so much fun? But it is. Okay, so I know there's going to be a lot of skeptics, right, that say that the noise, the shifts, that it's just a gimmick, right? I mean, when you actually experience it in person, it really just doesn't feel like a gimmick. It is incredibly realistic the way that this is overall executed, and pairing that faux engine noise to the acceleration, like Mason was mentioning, it really does trick your mind into feeling like you're driving a ICE model, and I think it enhances how much fun this is exponentially.
Oh yeah, and just the fact that you can actually feel each gear shift as well. It's not just pumped in noise. The vehicle actually will cut the power so that you can feel each shift.
You feel the jerk. It tells you hit red line. Things I never thought I would do. Red line in an electric car. Now, of course, we're on a nice and curvy road, so let's talk a little bit about those dynamics. Now, this is a large vehicle. Obviously, it's a heavy electric car, but Hyundai has done a lot of work to make this very impressive dynamically. When you go around a corner, can you feel that it is heavy? Yes, you can, but it disguises it so well. The body roll is very nice and controlled, not much at all. These seats hold you in place fantastically, and in terms of the overall steering, it's very lively as well. Nice quick response on board. Guys, this thing can hustle. The grip you get out of the tires are also very impressive. And then the thing I love the most, I think, is probably the brakes, because obviously something this big and heavy, you have to feel reassured.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely do. It feels like it can absolutely stop when it needs to, even when you're going really fast.
I mean, you guys can see this on my face. You see the smile? I mean,
This is crazy.
yeah, that's something that the average EV cannot say, and I do truly mean that. Oh.
Oh, goodness gracious.
You can only do that a few times. Your body's gonna start rejecting
Like
that.
being on a roller coaster.
Okay. Now, there are a couple different noises that you can pick from. Drew kind of pointed out in the, specific in section, you can customize a lot of different things. It's called Inactive Sound Plus. We can turn it to Evolution, so this is a completely different noise.
More futuristic, not as much like a gas engine, of course.
Yeah. Then you have Supersonic.
Well, it feels like a spaceship.
If you want to shock whoever's riding with you, that might be a good mode for you. It says it's inspired by fighter jets.
What in the world?
I tell you, that is something interesting. It sounds like a...
Yeah, this one's real interesting. Sounds like a cannon shooting off at the end.
Yeah, that's unlike any other vehicle I've ever experienced. Okay.
Now, I do want to point out that as I was discussing at the interior, there's a lot of different things that you can do with like drift mode and things on the track. Obviously, we're not on the track, so that stuff is like geo-locked. You're not supposed to be using any of those features outside of the track setting. We're not going to show those off to you, but we would encourage you, check out some of our colleagues' videos that are on YouTube. We weren't able to attend because we had other things going on, but they were able to drive it on a racetrack and show off some of those features.
All right, but let's calm down together. This has obviously been a very fun drive, but I do want to just hit some, just normal aspects of the vehicle for those of you that are curious. Range, if you skipped over the beginning part and didn't already hear this, it's going to be rated at 221 miles. Of course, this thing does charge very fast, though, so that is a very important aspect of the IONIQ 5. It's one of the fastest charging EVs. It can charge from 10 to 80% in as little as 18 minutes. So even though your range is not fantastic, your charging is very fast, and this is a very practical vehicle on top of all of that. Now, I also want to just take a second to mention ride quality, because one of the best things about the IONIQ 5 was as a very comfortable vehicle in its normal version. The N does keep a lot of that characteristic as well. When you're not in the sport mode, it does ride very nicely. It's not as good as the traditional IONIQ 5, but it's still, I would say, about 50% is good, and it's still a comfortable vehicle to live with on the daily. This is definitely not something that's so hard-edged that you can't daily drive it. And we're speeding up to 55 miles per hour, so let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. I went ahead and turned all the noise off, so kind of dumbed down a little bit on the fun, but let's get the sound level reading on fan speed 1. Wow. 53.2 is what we are sitting at as our official sound level reading for this Hyundai IONIQ 5N, and Boy, I have to say, that is just really, really impressive. I don't have to sit here and guess, though. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website, we posted all of the readings that we've gotten on this channel. And funnily enough, that sound level reading does mean that it's pretty much exactly the same as the regular IONIQ 5. So, really no sacrifices when it comes to the amount of noise entering into the cabin in this N version. And I think that has to be today's slam dunk for this model. Of course, everything about this vehicle, the performance, all the stuff is super cool. But I think even cooler than all of that is the fact that you can have that and also have the practicality as well. It really does not sacrifice at all over a regular IONIQ 5, which is quite the feat for that level of performance, that's for sure. So that's easily got to be today's slam dunk.
Now on the airball side of things, this is going to be kind of nitpicky, but we do wish that it had a head-up display, because that is something that the limited version of the IONIQ 5 already has, so it would be certainly nice to have that up there on the windshield. And then the other thing is just the range figure is a little bit low, obviously. I think you kind of expect that for a performance vehicle like this, but you're not going to get super far without pulling over and charging.
As far as a couple last things worth mentioning when it comes to this vehicle, I do want to point out that you have adaptive dampers. That's why it's able to have that dual characteristic when it comes to the suspension setup. And as far as our real world efficiency, some of you guys might be concerned about that with an EV. It's actually not too bad at all. So our real world efficiency is sitting at, let me see if I can pull up the picture here. I went ahead and took it earlier, 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So really, that's not bad for something that has 641 horsepower. I mean, that is, even though the range is not that impressive, the efficiency is not that bad. And lastly, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 5-year, 60,000 mile basic, a 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain. You also get 3 years of complimentary maintenance. How much is all this going to cost? Well, we start a touch over $66,000 for the IONIQ 5N, which honestly isn't too bad. It's only going to be about a $13,000 price increase over something like the IONIQ 5 Limited. Now, this particular tester doesn't really have any options on it, so you were sitting at about $67,000 as tested. Now, if you're looking to buy an IONIQ 5N or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now, let's discuss potential resale and reliability to make sure you're making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we'll talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Hyundai IONIQ 5N's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 55.3%, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 19.6% of its original MSRP. Now, we do want to point out that for specialized vehicles such as this Hyundai IONIQ 5N, the resale value does differ quite a bit, and it also differs largely on electric vehicles as well. So those numbers could be off slightly, definitely depending on market conditions.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. The Hyundai brand as a whole is rated just slightly below average compared to all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability and resale data, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially when you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's it for our 7-day review of what the special product, the 2025 Hyundai IONIQ 5N. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you give us opportunities like this where Hyundai will send this car down for us to live with for a full 7 days and provide you all with those experiences. So please go ahead and do that if you haven't already. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.